Hello, listener. We're excited to bring you another bonus episode. Today, we'll be talking about the Ampersand character and its role in typeface design. Joining me is Liron, Lavi, Turkenich, and we'll be interviewing her about her Ampersand in Season 2, so keep an eye out for that episode in the spring. Liron is the founder of Arabrit, a hybrid writing system that merges Hebrew and Arabic. I can't think of a better expert to share with you what the Ampersand character is all about. Liron, welcome to the show.
Hi, so happy to be here.
A few months ago, when we launched this podcast, you and I chatted about the Ampersand character and how special it is. What makes it so unique?
The Ampersand, we can continue the discussion for hours, but we said it's a short episode. So I think the Ampersand it's a very unique character. So it's not really punctuation. It's not really a letter. It started as a ligature, so a combination of two letters. But right now, when thinking about the design of it, it really encompasses the design or the spirit of the whole typeface, the whole font that we're looking at. But still, it's very creative. It has so much personality in it. And it's always really interesting to see how ampersands look across typefaces and fonts.
Something interesting to me, because as you know, I'm a musician, is that kind of curve of the ampersand. And it almost reminds me of like a treble clef. And I wonder, not all letters have retained that throughout history. Do you have any thoughts about why the ampersand has kind of retained all those kind of sensual curves?
Well, it's such a great question, because if you're thinking like trying to recall ampersand shapes that you've seen across different typefaces and fonts, you would notice that there are several kinds or several shapes of them, right? There is the classic one that we often see in AT&T, for instance, and then there is the kind that looks like perhaps the E or the epsilon, and then there are several kinds of shapes for this ampersand, to a certain point that some characters are not really looking like what we would expect an ampersand, but our mind is flexible enough to conceive it as one. And I think, like, from design perspective, the ampersand is really hard to get right. Latin script is not my native script, so I can tell from my experience designing ampersands, it's always such an interesting character to design, because it's not exactly an 8, and the diagonals aren't really an X diagonal, I would say. And it's really hard to balance out. So I think these sensual curves, they should look effortless. They should look very natural. But in fact, it's really hard to get them right and make them seem so flowing. And like they resemble some of the shapes of the letters or some of even the figures, the numbers, but not exactly. So it's really such a unique creature.
Yeah, absolutely. In your work as a typeface designer, say you are working in a Latin script and you are going through all the letters, how did you approach the ampersand? Like, would it come towards first or towards last? And when would you even think about it?
Well, I know that for others, the ampersand is like the creative spirit, the joy of designing ampersand. And there are even typefaces that are, built only from ampersands. So really interesting ones. There was one for this aid for donation that asked 400 designers to design ampersands, and a whole typeface was built from them. So for some people, this is like the fun part, and they just want to start with it, get the creative juices flowing. For me, when I design it, I save it towards the last bits, because I already want to have the essence of the typeface. I want to know how the balance is going, how the color, which is how we refer to the weight and bold, light, and how that works. And how the balance is between the verticals and the horizontals. And once I figure these out, then the ampersand is, it's nicer to design, or it's easier in that sense. Like I already have the building blocks, and now I can enjoy and put the creativity into place.
It does sound like saving the best for last.
In a way, yeah.
I love the ampersand. A lot of your expertise has been rooted in Hebrew, and the ampersand character is rooted in Latin languages. As we discovered in the last episode, it's originally a ligature. Where do you see commonalities between the ampersand character and what exists in other languages like Hebrew?
I was trying to think of, like, when you were asking this question, I was trying to think of ligatures that are kind of behaving in the same way or in a similar way in Hebrew. So let's use Hebrew as a case study because, I feel very comfortable with it. So in the past, we did have a ligature for the word God. So it was 2 letters, and now it's rarely used. Sometimes, as an anecdote or like as a fun fact or fun glyph to design. But it used to be in manuscripts, in written manuscripts. And now I think the ligature that we use most, perhaps in a way, sort of like the ampersand, we use it for the currency symbol of the shekel, the Hebrew currency. So it's a ligature of 2 letters. And also, some of it reminds me of the ampersand because this is a way for you to kind of put some energy or some feeling into the design. And then you also have the challenge, which is also similar in the ampersand, the challenge to match it with the figures, with the numbers, and with the letters. And you have to try and balance everything together. So it's like the glue, I would say, to the typeface, the ampersand as well, and also this currency symbol of the shekel.
That is so fascinating. Liron, it's been such a pleasure talking with you today, and I am so excited to do your full interview in season 2.
Thank you so much.
Folks, you can check out Liron's website at lironlavi.com. That's LIRONLAVI. Or you can follow her on Instagram at lironlav. If you enjoyed season 1 of the Ampersand Manifesto and haven't left a review yet, please help us out. Written reviews are currently only available on the Apple Podcasts app. So if you have an iPhone or a Mac, this is the best way to support the show. We really appreciate it, and it really only takes 5 minutes. As you are wrapping up 2022, what reflections are coming to mind? What goals do you have going into 2023? If you are a verbal processor, chances are that you'd benefit from having a sounding board. As a coach, I love doing this work. I love helping leaders like you clarify what's important and to create plans to take action. Let's chat. You can find me at jessicawan.com. Happy holidays, stay well, and keep embracing your ampersand.
Type designer who said that the ampersand is like the dinosaur that kind of didn't get extinct for some reason and it kept on being in the typeface.